All right, brothers and sisters, this will be the final video I do on the RSTNE guys, unless something else happens. And I wanted everyone to be aware of some stuff and just to be understanding of what exactly you guys are dealing with the RSTNE Bible. And I have a little experience now, and today we will be releasing our first PDF of the RSTNE full edition along with all the footnotes. We're almost done. I'm doing a couple little things left, and by the end of the day, Yah willing, we will have this out there. Now, the reason that we got onto this, and the reason that I'm even investigating this at all, is because we were ended up with a entourage of emails, and they were basically, what they were saying is that they were going to take the online version off unless they got the money. And so before I go into some interesting things that we all need to be aware of when it comes to this particular guy and this site, let me take a quick look. This was an online chat I had with him yesterday, right? And I was just very curious. And this is me when I said this. Hello, if I was to donate $10,000, would you be able to keep the free version online forever without asking for more money? He comes back and says, Shalom, sir. Thanks for writing. That is an interesting question. We would have to do the math, but every year there would be some basic expenses and work maintenance regarding data entry, etc. Not to mention we would need partners for all our ministry outreaches. Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't have any problem with people, ministries, or anything of the sort on this, right? The issue that I always had with the RSTNE is that he was threatening to take the online version offline, and I could not figure out why. So let's continue on what he says. He says, and this is him, it is not just so much just asking for money, but allowing people to donate. So if you were to do that, we could theoretically not ask for money, but leave it on there should people desire to donate. So I'm not sure what that means. I mean, he essentially says that if I gave him $10,000, he would still leave the donation side on there just in case people desire to donate, which if there is a legitimate ministry, I have zero problem with people donating. But let's continue on to see what's going on. And this is what I wrote. I see the site has 15 to 28K a year in cost to maintain. Can you tell me a bit about those costs? Where does that money go? And then he writes back, those are estimated work hour maintenance updates, studies for the site, etc. Granted, these are all estimates. Yeah, this is very interesting. It gets more interesting here. And then he quotes me where I said, I don't mean to be a busy, or actually, no, this is the first part I say. I don't mean to be a busybody. I am just wondering if I donated 10K, would you pull the online version offline at some point? And I just jacked this up here. Let's go right here. It always does this to me. Sorry, guys. Right here. So he goes back and he says, we are not a 501c3, so we use any and all donations where needed most. And I say, okay, thank you very much. Then he says, assuming that our expenses were met, we could stop asking for donations and mailing and in posts, yet leave it on the website, giving people the opportunity, like yourself, to contribute. And then I asked him, I said, why is there a rush right now to secure the 15K? Is there impending doom, or are you trying to get a year's worth of cash now? He says, no, there's no impending doom, so to speak. Lol. It's that when you make things free, it will affect hardcover distribution, which reduces donations to our work. Okay? That is the truth, right? This is the problem that we end up with, is if we end up with a manuscript of scriptures and we are building a business instead of building the kingdom, then we're going to focus on the money. Here's what people, especially the Yah Scriptures and other people, don't understand, is the majority of the world has never heard of the RSTNE, and the majority of the world has never heard of the Yah Scriptures. If you were to give this out to the potentially 9 billion people, you would have more book sales than you could ever want, because people are going to want that from that PDF. They're not going to want it in a PDF forever. They're going to want it in a book. Where do they go for the book? Well, they would go find that book and they would buy it. They would have millions of sales if they did things, both of these companies, like this. Let's continue on. And then he says that's all part of the consideration. And I say, okay, oh, I see. Well, thank you very much for your time. Shalom. Then he quotes what I said. He said, you said, I don't mean to be a busybody. I'm just wondering if I donated 10K, would you pull the online version offline at some point? And he says, we would pledge to keep it online. So 10K is the magic number that he would pledge to keep it online. And he also says, correct, there would be no need to pull it off. And again, I said, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And then he goes again, he says, the estimate is simply work hours, plus, loss in donations due to hardcover drop-off. Okay, here is where the rubber meets the road, guys. And this is what I've been saying. If we are protecting our pocketbooks and our business instead of expanding the kingdom, then that's where the folly is. And I don't know this guy. He's probably a very, very, very nice guy. He's extremely studied. I will tell you, the difference between the Yah Scriptures and his version is night and day. The Yah Scriptures stole their work. They'd hardly put any work into it. It's a mess of literate unsophistication with the Yah Scriptures, where this gentleman has put a tremendous amount of time, and it's an interesting scriptures. But there's a huge warning. I need to tell everybody about this because we just got done. My family and I putting together 86 of his books into a PDF. And like I said, we're nearly done. And in the footnotes, which he charges extra for, there is a tremendous amount of Talmudic influence. In fact, this guy says he's educated in the Talmud. He knows all this. So when you get in the footnotes, he'll come across and says, well, the Talmud says this or something of the sort. And guys, when you're dealing with the Talmud, you are breaking Deuteronomy 4:2. We are not to add anything to the Torah. We are not to take anything away from the Torah. And when you add 200 books of the Talmud, which a lot of the Talmud is some very evil stuff. It is where they will make normal people like you and I, who are not Jews, goyim. They will say that we are lesser humans. And they in the Talmud, you can do evil things to the goyim. There's even pedophilic stuff in the Talmud, and you have to be extremely careful that does not become doctrine. And that's part of the next part I'd like to talk to you about. So he continues on, and I mean, this is the truth, right? Is the loss in donations due to the hardcover drop-off. People are going to want to see it online, and if you're spending, they would rather go and get it. Most people don't have cash sitting around that they can do this stuff with. So he says that's a realistic approach. And then I said, have you ever thought about putting together an Android or iOS and charge for both? Sefer charges $25 and seems to make a lot. He says, we appreciate your help if Yah so leads. And then that would be something interesting to look into for sure. And had this guy not already been extorting the people, I would have gone to him right now and I would have gone over to Freelancer and I would have said, look, if you're serious about this, let's drop $3,000 right now into an application and let's develop it. Right? And he has a copyright. And so he could have taken this. And even at $25 in the App Store, I'm fine with that. People can make money. I don't have a problem with it. But when you are extorting and you're putting the pressure on Yah's people that you need 15 to 20K right now and you have a timer going off in your site, that's evil, right? You're pressuring people for the wrong reasons. And he said there's no impending doom. So why did he have a 3-day countdown timer, right? These are things he needs to check himself at the door. Okay, and again, I tell him, okay, thank you for your time, shalom. And then he goes, but to reiterate, were you to help in that way, we would not ask for donors in mailings or posts and pledge to keep it online. And he goes, Yah willing. And I say, thank you. And he goes, okay, shalom, brother. Now, this is where I want to take you over to where you need to be extremely careful with the scriptures and with this guy. You're mixing in Talmudic Judaism and you have Messiah's stuff as well. This guy is definitely a Messiah-loving individual. You can see it throughout his footnotes. You can see it throughout his writings on all this stuff. He loves our Messiah. So wherever he ended up tripping and falling and trying to extort everybody for this, I don't know, but I hope he fixes this, and I hope he goes to Freelancer. I hope when he goes to Freelancer and does what I just told him, he can do it as well. Probably going to be $3,000, and you can have a app written up, and it will put all his stuff in it. And so let's continue on with some dangers, and this is where people need to be aware of what is going on. And like I said, this will be the very last video that I do on this because I have nothing against this guy. I don't think he is criminal like Hallelujah grifters. But He mixes in this Judaism stuff, and this is where you guys need to be very, very careful. So simply, we're going to look here on his site. Tzitzits, no problem, any of that stuff. Then we get into skull caps, right? All of a sudden, we bring in straight up Judaism, and there is 0 commandments that says we need a skull cap or something on. It would be an optional thing if you wanted to do it, but if you're a Talmudic Jew, everybody wears a skull cap. So all of a sudden, the very first red flag that you guys should see is that we are mixing in religions with this, and that is not right. Okay, so we have skull caps and we have this stuff. We also have the Satanic Star of David, and it's coming up as well. More skull caps. This is all stuff. Now, this I thought was super cool. This cup, right? This is super cool. $25, right? It has the Hebrew alphabet in Paleo and original, and that's super cool. Now, the odd thing that people need to understand right out of the gate right here is that we go right here, and his next page is he runs on CDB and coffee. Now, for anybody who does not know what pharmakia is, and there's going to be a lot of people, I know a lot of people smoke grass. I know a ton of people do out there. I don't have a Torah command that says not to, right? Everything in moderation as far as that goes. Now, this is, if you're sitting here in the position that he is, and you're pushing pharmakia, now you don't get CDB oil without processing it, right? It is a type of pharmakia. When you look at what exactly pharmakia is and how the Greek defined it, right? It is the right here. It's in a medication, right? And sometimes it's by magic, sometimes it's not. The online biblical usage of pharmakia is the use or the administering of drugs, poisoning, right? Now, most people don't realize, but coffee is a pesticide for bugs. You can use it and you kill bugs. I've done segments on the YouTube channel, all everywhere. I did a long segment. It's probably 2 years ago, year and a half ago, on the dangers of coffee. If you're drinking coffee, you are lowering your brain oxygen levels for a very long time. The studies are not good. You will have all of the, just like cigarettes, right? You have everybody in the coffee industry that says, oh, it's good for you. Oh, get that pep in, get that step in, get this stuff, right? Coffee is a drug. It is not good for you. And I will always say that. And I will always tell you that. It's been about a year and a half, about a year. And I was drinking coffee like the greatest of them all, right? We were having pots of coffee a day. And when I stopped drinking coffee, the headaches, how long was I have a headache? Week, 2 weeks? There was a headache that I had that never seemed to end, and I didn't think it was going to end, and it was a sledgehammer, and it was so bad for days on end. And I told myself, I'm never going back to drugs. I'm never going to be doing that. And I find it very interesting that he's talking about CBD, right? It is cannabis oil. And again, I have zero against people that do this, and I believe that, it is one of these hidden, not CDB itself, CBD, but I believe it is one of these things that have been hidden from us. And I believe that if we had the notes of Noah's little guide that he used to have, I bet there would be things in there where you would absolutely use cannabis. But why is this on a guy's site? Why wouldn't you say something of, I run on Yahushua and Yahuwah? Why does he have 2 drugs on this? It doesn't make any sense. It's very bizarre. And so when you mix in the Talmudic beans of this guy and his writings, along with this very odd stuff on the site, along with all the Judaism and the skull caps and, the Star of David, as much as this is Israel's little thing, this is satanic, right? There's no such thing as a Star of David. David never ever had a star. It's more like Solomon's key and all the evil that Solomon wrought upon his people. So he has all of this stuff for sale. He has pages and pages and pages and pages of things for sale. And one thing in here, he had a Torah scroll for nearly $10,000, as well as this, guys. This is, let's see, where is it? We had, Hanukkah handles, right? And Hanukkah is one of these things. and this is just, I guess it says menorah, but this is like Chanukah candles. I mean, they're selling Hanukkah, right? That's doctrines of men. We don't celebrate that. We're told not to celebrate this kind of stuff in scriptures. We're told to be set apart. We have our things that we celebrate: Passover, Feast of Trumpets, Sukkot, all that kind of stuff. And it's not that. So guys, I'm going to leave it with this. Please be extremely cautious if you guys go and you guys do anything with this guy's site, with anything. And again, I hope the brother is successful. He's been in this for 20 years. I went over this in another video. They have revenues of $1 to $5 million. They have 11 to 25 employees. They are not broke. And so when you want to take and you want to extort the people of our Creator, that's when other people are going to probably jump in. And so this is why we are doing what we are doing. And unfortunately, it's going to make him very upset. But this version needs to go out to the people, and it needs to be absolutely free. That way the people aren't extorted, and that way he gets an understanding that this is unacceptable. This is not proper behavior of the children of our Most High. We have to take care of our own people. And the last thing we should ever really truly be extorting people for is the word of our Creator. Every single soul that comes to our Creator is great. It's the best thing ever, right? One single soul it's just tremendous. And so that's what we need to focus on, building the kingdom, not building our pocketbooks, none of this. And so today we'll be releasing this, and it is a very interesting scriptures. It's almost half English, half Hebrew. Lots of Hebrew words in there. A couple guys that I know love it more than any other version. They swear by it, and their hearts were broken when they heard that I was looking into these guys. And I will leave it at this. Just use your heads. Be aware. Make sure you guys don't get trapped in a Judaism mess. Much love, guys. I'm out.